see you sleeping. Yeah, you sleeping? You can keep sleeping. Love you, buddy. Hey guys, Jamie Lee here from BirdTricks, and today's video is a little different vibe. As you can probably tell from the title, my Toco Toucan Rocko, who is a male, he is about 11 or 12 years old now, was diagnosed with diabetes towards the end of last year in 2021, and it just really sucked. And the worst part about it was how long it took me to figure out that he had diabetes. And so it's something that I want to make sure is out there for other toucan owners, because I know they're few and far between. There's so little information out there on them. There's so few resources available to toucan owners. And it's just one of my least favorite things about having a toucan is just feeling like we can't do enough because we don't know enough. And in this process, I've learned so much that I wish I would have known, that I want to share with all of you. So I've always said, like, we know so little about toucans, and there's no toucan experts out there for us to be able to go to, and there's no vets that specialize in toucans that I've found. I found some that are quite experienced, but there's not like toucan veterinarians, so to speak. So anyways, okay, so I'm just gonna go into the signs and symptoms of diabetes with Toco toucans. Now, I found out that diabetes is only found, as of now, and this is what I've been told up until this point, only with Toco toucans. Why? No idea. But we used to worry about serving them a diet that led to iron storage disease known as hemochromatosis. And now that seems to almost be the least of toucan owners' worries. It's diabetes. And this was something that was brought to my attention by Toucan TV. For those of you guys that know of Brock and his toucans, he and I keep in touch. He's such a cool human. And he wrote me early of 2021 and was just like, hey, did you know that captive toucans are no longer dying frequently from iron storage disease? They're now dying from diabetes. And this was something I had no idea about. I thought we were all fighting the iron storage disease war, and just preventing it with the proper diet. And it took me by surprise. And I was just kind of like, what do you mean? Like, why? And he just pointed out the fact that the fruit we have to offer these guys in captivity is nothing like the fruit that they have access to in the wild. It's very, very high in sugar. And that seemed so obvious when he said it to me, but it was also mind-blowing because I'd never thought of it before. And given that I've always followed the recommended like 70% fresh fruit, non-citrus, I was like, wow, that's a lot of fruit. So here are some of the things that happened with Rocko that I did not recognize as symptoms to becoming a diabetic. Over the summer, his appetite increased. Normally he would get 1 to 2 bowls of fresh food a day, and his appetite increased to 3 bowls a day. I didn't think anything of it. My parrots' appetites fluctuate, but usually when it's a change of season, so I might notice it more of like a hormonal sort of thing. So going from fall to winter or spring to summer is when I notice appetite fluctuations with my parrots. And so I just thought, no big deal that he has a bigger appetite. I'll just offer more food. I didn't think anything of it. The second symptom was that he was drinking a lot more water. Now this one actually alerted me because it happened more in the fall time frame. And when parrots drink an excessive amount of water. Sometimes it can be linked to hormones, but a lot of the time it's a metal toxicity trait. And so I kind of freaked out. Not that toucans can chew like parrots by any means, and I knew that he wasn't exposed to any metal that he shouldn't be, but I was like, ooh, this is a pretty big deal. And that's actually the symptom that got me talking to the right people, that got me, that immediately, as soon as I said he's drinking a ton of water and pooping out just clear water, that's when one of my resources was able to just say, it's diabetes. So I wish I would have known that, because it was so easy for a breeder to know, and that should be something that we're told about, something that we're educated on, things that our type of animal that we get into to care for is prone to get, we should be aware of and know how to prevent it. And so that was something I had no idea. So he had an increase in like thirst, basically. He was drinking a ton of water. He was pooping excessively, just clear liquid. Something that I didn't recognize for a while, because I have his aviary outside and he has this huge dish of water. So toucans require a big enough dish of water that their entire beaks can fit into and they can drink properly. And it was something that people didn't know when they first were in captivity, and so people were not offering them big enough bowls of water, and they were like dying of thirst, which is a really sad thought. So because he has this huge bowl of water, which he bathes in sometimes, which he drinks out of, when a toucan drinks, like water can run out of their beak and down their front, and like it can just make a mess. They're messy birds. They have a pretty wet diet overall. And so their bottom of their aviary is wet and gross. And I often am using my pressure washer and hosing down where my birds are kept. And so I didn't recognize it. I didn't recognize the excessive drinking. I didn't recognize the excessive watery poops, because they were done on a surface that was something I couldn't tell. It wasn't until I moved him in the fall that I noticed it on paper. And it was because I had just given him fresh water, and I noticed water all over the aviary, and I thought, oh, he just had a bath, but then I realized his bath was entirely full, so there was no way, and that's when I realized he was actually pooping that out, and that was not normal. So excessive thirst, increased appetite, excessive, I don't know that you can call it urination, because it's just, they don't like do one or the other, it's kind of a combined thing with birds, but that was excessive. He was lethargic, which is also something I didn't recognize right away, which you would think, why the heck didn't you see that? That seems like a very obvious sign. So toucans love to sunbathe, and Rocko is so in love with the sunlight. He often just stops whatever he's doing and sunbathes. And he started sunbathing on the bottom of his aviary. And I didn't think anything of it, because we kind of thought like, oh, it's probably warmer down there. And I often would see him going down there and being like, ah, I dropped a blueberry, or oh, I dropped a piece of melon, and eating it. And then I thought, oh, sidetrack squirrel. The sun feels amazing. I'm going to sunbathe. So that's why I didn't connect it. I didn't think he was being lethargic. I thought he was just like getting some leftover food that he dropped, and then also sunbathing down there. And maybe it was warmer than doing it higher in his aviary. So it feels really stupid in hindsight, because now I know, but I didn't. Oh, it's frustrating. I just didn't know. I didn't know. Okay, so one of the other things that happened, which seems, again, all these seem very obvious in hindsight. He hurt his toe over the summer, which he's hurt his toe 3 times in a 7 to 8 year span. So 2 of the times I was not home for, this time I was actually home for. And he hurt his toe. I treated it topically like we have done in the past. It looked like it had healed almost entirely, and then it would kind of like flare up again a little bit, but not huge, but just not, it was almost like the thing that wouldn't heal. And I just thought, like, what a pain in the butt. This is just not healing. All the things I'm doing should be healing this entirely. He went through a round of antibiotics via seeing my vet, and, you know, wanting to ensure that he healed from the inside out, since topically wasn't working. Went through all those antibiotics thinking this will be the time it like really heals, and it just seemed to be this thing. Now it messed with his grip. He wasn't fully gripping things because he had this toe injury. Because he was spending more time at the bottom of the aviary, he broke off his entire tail, which they're very prone to doing. Their tail feathers are really thin diameters, and once you start breaking multiple, there's nothing to protect them and they all just go. So like, this is not what a toucan tail should look like. It should be beautiful black, like coming off of here, and his stops at the white. And so he's done this before. That wasn't anything different. Toucans break their tails all the time. But that's also something that's just kind of happened in it all. So as most people know, diabetics have a very hard time healing. And again, I wasn't putting the pieces together. When I really think back to it, I had a grandfather who was diabetic, and he actually had his leg amputated from the knee down on one, and then his other one, half of his foot was gone. And I remember he used to get bed sores and things, and they were always dealing with problematic sores that would arise from him. And I just, you know, it's been a while since my grandpa Al was around, and I just, gosh, again, I didn't put it together, and it sucks. The other thing that started happening, and I equated it to his foot being sore and never healing to the capacity that I would have wished, was that his beak really has a lot more flakiness to it. And it didn't used to. He used to take such amazing care of his beak, and he doesn't anymore, because what it entails for a toucan to care for their beak is for them to constantly get it wet, constantly get their feet wet and scratch it. And they scratch the beak, and it keeps it really nice. And his used to be so nice. I literally have photos with him for a promotional shoot that we did where his beak looks pristine. And then literally that summer, it's more like this. And so I'm gonna see if I can get a better shot of it for you guys. But it just has a lot more peeling to it. It just looks rougher, and it's because he's not scratching it and not taking care of it as well. Just really sucks. This is hard for me to film because I feel responsible, and I feel frustrated, and I feel, I don't know. I've called upon all my resources and vet consultations, all the things. He's actually going in tomorrow. And I've made a ton of changes since seeing, since seeing all the changes in him. Like, he used to be so obnoxious. He used to like fly up the top of my cabinets and get hormonal. You know, he would know when I wanted to put him back in the aviary, and he just wouldn't come down. He'd be a total pain in the butt. So lively. And now he barely flies. He comes across really weak. He's lost a lot of weight. He's been to the vet multiple times and had everything. Like, he gets insulin every day now. We originally thought it would all be cured with insulin. Like, we would just give him insulin and he would be better, and he did get better, but overall he's not the same bird. His health is so drastically changed since getting this diagnosis. There's like a million symptoms, it feels like. He doesn't fly around his entire aviary anymore. He uses it from like mid part down. He doesn't use the top area anymore. He doesn't fly up. I've laddered his perching, so he has a ton of low perching. I've taken out anything like swings or ropes or anything like that, and I've vet wrapped a lot of his perching. I feed him primarily on the ground. He doesn't bathe anymore, so he used to take a bath like multiple times a week. He doesn't do that, and so he gets really gross looking and really unkept. So now I actually take him into my shower in my house and like make sure that he gets clean. The scariest symptom, sorry guys, this just sucks, because I feel like I'm in the middle of it, and I'm like super lost. We've upped the like the overall temperature that we keep him in. The hardest symptom besides like he's not himself, like he'll let anyone pet him, which is not normal. He'll just sit here forever. He sleeps, like he falls asleep pretty much anywhere. Is his tongue. So a toucan's tongue is a very thin, feather-like, and it has a lot of nerve endings on it, and they use it to like toss food back into the back of their throat and swallow it. And when they pick food up, they'll like squish it and do things like that to make it easier to swallow. And one day I just noticed his tongue like kind of went out of his mouth in this weird way, and I just thought like that was really weird. Something weird happened with his tongue. I didn't really know what happened or what it was. It happened quickly and then didn't repeat itself right away. So I kind of thought maybe I was nuts because I was getting paranoid about every aspect of him. The other day, it happened so obviously that I was able to pull out my phone and get a full video. So I'm going to show you guys that video, and you're going to hear my honest reaction to freaking out because it doesn't look right. His tongue should never just flop out of his mouth. Like he can't feel it. His tongue is just hanging out. Look, his tongue. Oh my God. It's not working.
It's not.
And it was something that I had been trying to describe to people, like resources. I had just said like something's wrong with his tongue. It almost looks waterlogged, like it doesn't move the same. So when that happened, I was just a full-blown panic. I sent this video to a really experienced vet who works with a lot of toucans, and specifically with a toucan breeder, and the only response back I got was just like, poor guy. And people saying that they've seen it in older toucans and that there's just nothing you can do about it. And I don't know why. Like, why does it happen? How do you prevent it? With toucans, you just can't have super high expectations because people don't know. And I feel like that's kind of the case with a lot of things with avian medicine in general, is that we just don't like know. Sorry guys, I feel so gross and like sniffly, and I'm just super trying to hold it together. Gosh, he's looking so good right now actually while he's eating, but when it gets really, really bad, his tongue completely flops out to the side, and I get so scared that he's going to break it because it comes across like he can't even feel it. Like he can't control it, he can't feel it. It's just flopping everywhere. And one of the things that's happened, I think because of this, is that one day he was by the sink, because I have him in all the time now because I just don't want him out of my sight, and I don't want him to be alone if something like goes downhill really quickly. So he was by the sink, and I just like how his beak was lit, I felt like there was something in it, and I of course like just freak out, and been a little emotional about him lately, so I freak out pretty easy about all the things. And I just like yelled for Dave, and I said something's in his beak, something's wrong, like do something basically. And Dave opened his beak, and sure enough, like he had food chunks in it, like mushy food chunks that were like stuck. And Dave just put his finger in and cleaned it out. And the breeder I talked to said like, yeah, it's really common in older toucans, and you just have to like clean their mouth out and make sure that it doesn't get build up or get stuck. But he's like 11 or 12 years old, and tocos are supposed to live between 18 and 25. So to me, he's not old, but suddenly he is. Like, he's acting super old. And it's just drastic because earlier in that same year that he was diagnosed, which was last year, he was like crazy 730 gram Rocko. And then to just have the summer hit and have all these like weird things happen, and then it all just blow up in the fall with his diagnosis of diabetes. And, you know, people have told me that some toucans have been able to live for a while with diabetes, but certain days he looks so uncomfortable, and it looks really hard to be him. And I don't want him to, like, not have a quality of life. So I never want to be one of those people that can't let go for the for the betterment of the animal. But I mean, if you guys have seen any of my videos of him, he's not like this. He's never been like this. I feel like we read these lifespans online and we just assume we get the top lifespan, 25 years, or like maybe he'll be the one that sets a new record of lifespan. And then here we are. It's like not fair. I hate it.